Well, Tom, it's good to see you again. I know we've done some things in the past talking about the lookup line, but we haven't seen each other in a while. So, how you been?
Things are good, Adam. Thanks so much for having me. No, I've enjoyed our interaction in the past, but with COVID, which was an interesting time, it's been a few years, so it's great to be back.
Yeah, it's still hard for me to sometimes figure out what year it is because it's just like there's such a time warp back then. So I couldn't even remember when the last time we had spoken. But it's good to have you back on. And obviously,
Thank you.
we've had you on. You've talked about the lookup line program in the past. But for those who may be hearing about it for the first time and want to learn more about it, what is the lookup line?
Yeah, so the lookup line, in short, is ice hockey's first warning track. And the lookup line was founded because as I was pursuing a collegiate career, I signed a junior hockey contract and unfortunately sustained two separate paralyzing injuries that were board related. And after my second accident, and I was paralyzed from my waist down, and I always thought that if I could figure out a way to help players and benefit the game without affecting the speed, intensity, heritage, or adding any more rules, I wanted to put my best foot forward in doing so. And so, after about a year and a half's worth of research, I came to the conclusion that baseball has a warning track, football has their perimeter lines, meaning player goes out of bounds if they go out on the sidelines. Players, coaches, and media are supposed to be 5 yards back. The goalpost in the early 80s went from the, or excuse me, late 70s went from the goal line to the end of the end zone. So, and then looking at basketball, same type of deal where the players, coaches, fans, and media are set back from the perimeter line. So is the post of the hoop, and the rim hangs over the perimeter line. And I'm looking at all these sports and then consulting with doctors. And the number one way to create a behavioral instinct in sports is visual cueing. And then I'm doing my aquatic therapy in the pool, and there's the black line in each lane, and that line stops several feet before the end wall. So if you don't see that line, you're either swimming in someone's lane or going towards the end wall. So came up with this idea, and then we launched it in 2013, and we're calling it the lookup line, and have for over a decade. And all we're doing is we're putting a paint strip. Some are 40 inches in width. You're going to see some smaller lines that are out there right now, but it's an orange warning track. So when players see that, he or she picks their heads up before making contact with the inboards. And we're not saying that this is a no check zone or anything like that. This is simply an awareness piece, because my thing, Adam, is that we want players to get on the ice and off the ice safely. And I want folks to be able to retire on their own time, not because of injury like I had to, Travis Roy, Dena Lang, Matty Brown, Jake Jablonski, Jake Tebow, AJ. So many of us have had neck injury, and there's so many that have had head injury. So by installing the lookup line, it reduces the risk of injury, and it's simply for you see that line, pick your head up, because we know head up versus head down, you're less likely to suffer a head or neck injury.
Yeah, and it made me think about somebody that I attended Suffolk University, and just before I enrolled there, John Gilpatrick had suffered
Yeah,
an
John.
injury. Right, exactly,
Yep.
and he's thriving, which is great to see. But in terms of when you launched this, right, it had to have been a tough sell.
Yeah, Adam,
Despite
you've
the and
been around.
despite the sentiment behind it, and the involved, there's always sort of a resistance to change, is what I'm getting at, right? And to incorporate something like this onto a rink, there must have been some resistance there.
Yeah. And look, you've been involved with the sport for decades, as have I. One of the beautiful things about hockey is that it's a traditional game, but I think it's one of the things that, the sport can improve upon. So this was a hard sell. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, wait, hockey has been very much a reactive sport to situations. And I'll give you an example. It took an individual passing away that got hit by a puck in Canada. I believe it was in Vancouver, after the puck went over the glass. And then the NHL said, oh, we should probably install netting behind the nets. And it's like, of course you should install netting behind the net. So, it's been a reactive sport. But when we laid this out from a commonsensical standpoint, the data that supports visual cueing, and then the cost of it. Adam, it's less than $500, including labor, to install the lookup line. And what we're asking rink owners and folks to do, and colleges and things like that, is that when you take the ice out, when you repaint the surface, order 2 gallons of orange paint and put in the lookup line. And if you can't afford it, reach out to the Thomas C. Smith Foundation and we will pay for it. So trying to give folks no excuse not to do it. But the good news is that in 12 years, no one has been able to say that this is not a good idea because of X, Y, and Z, or there's data that support and things like that. It's been resistance. Some people have a hard time with change, but as we continue to work on this and educate folks, the lookup line's been installed in hundreds of rinks across the country and in Canada. So the message is working. I just personally wish it would be adopted a bit faster because what my family and I and so many others have gone through because of neck and head injury, we're just trying to reduce the risk of that for men and women who play the sport.
And I know you mentioned the netting, and I was thinking about the neck guards, right? After the tragedy
Yeah.
overseas in England, you see more players wearing those. Some even now at the NHL level that have worn them in the minor leagues, and bringing that, and it's just part of the evolution of the sport and the evolution of safety as well. I know that on your website it says that your goal is to have this in every rink, everywhere in the world. Where
Yeah.
are you on that? Right? I mean, I know it sounds like kind of a funny question, but where are you on that in terms of the numbers increasing at all levels?
Yep. So it's been adopted really at all levels, but the NHL. We've
Right.
been in practice facilities that NHL teams practice on. Probably the biggest one is the Ford Ice Center in Tennessee, where the Nashville Predators practice. At colleges, St. Anselm's was the first one to install the lookup line, and hundreds of rinks across the country. A big boost that we got was when Governor Baker was in office, he mandated it in all the DCR rinks, and then Mayor Walsh, when he was the mayor of Boston, followed suit with all the city rinks, and that has passed over with the administrations, which has been phenomenal, and we're so appreciative of that. And then that led to some government policy. With other governors and mayors doing the same, which was wonderful. But the short answer to your question is hundreds of rinks across the country, dozens of rinks in Canada, and we know of 17 rinks in Europe that have installed the lookup line. So a bit of work to do and ways to go.
Yeah.
But our proof of concept is working. And again, anyone who skated on it doesn't affect the way they play. We've never heard that in 12 years. The feedback from coaches has been phenomenal. The players love it. So it's just, again, that adoption piece with the owners we're still working on.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about your own journey. You talked about it off the top, your multiple spinal cord injuries,
Yeah.
just devastating, but you've been able to bounce back. You've been obviously able to start the lookup line, but also complete how many Boston marathons now?
Yeah, so I what's interesting is I actually ran Boston as the school I went to, Pingree. We had to do a senior
Hmm.
project to graduate, so I coordinated with a foundation who had bibs and ran it in 2008.
Hmm.
Then broke my neck that summer playing hockey, and since then I got back on the course in 2018. So I've done 6 Boston marathons. This year will be my 7th since my
Wow.
injury, but 7 total if you include the one my senior year. And it's just something, I joke, Adam, it's something that keeps me in shape in the winter. So it's great, but it's been a great platform for the Thomas E. Smith Foundation to raise money and awareness, and also keeps me honest with my physical therapy and keeping myself in a routine and things like that. So it's been a win-win all around. This year we'll cross $200,000 that we will have donated
Wow.
because as a result from doing the Boston Marathon, and it's our 15-year anniversary for our foundation. So it's going to be a really, really, really fun year.
That's fantastic. We applaud all the work that you do to raise money, obviously, for the Boston Marathon, but the lookup line as well. And I had actually seen, a
Thank you.
picture with Matt Brown as well, a Norwood hockey player years ago who was
Yeah.
injured, and he continues his recovery and raising money for Journey Forward, I believe, as well. Correct?
Yep. Maddie goes to Journey Forward, and
Yep.
they're our outpatient paralysis partner, where really anyone who we work with in Massachusetts and New England that can access Journey Forward, we coordinate with the founder and John down there, who does a lot of the patient coordination to get folks involved.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Thomas Smith joining us here on the Hockey Hub podcast. It's good to see you again, man. Appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you so much, and just really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we're doing, spreading the awareness about the Thomas C. Smith Foundation. If anyone has any questions, they can go to our website, thomascsmithfoundation.org, where constantly in the community, whether it's appearances, engagement with corporations, schools, we really try to promote what we're doing, and it takes a village, right? So a collective effort is definitely needed, and I so appreciate, and so does the foundation, this opportunity, because it's an unbelievable platform for us to extend our message. So thank you, Adam.
No question about it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.